Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome back to more 428 Shibuya Scramble. My name is Raven from the Sky, and let's do this. If I'm going too fast, just pause the video. I've already read this in the other video. I'm getting the cab. The only difference is this time Aichi shouldn't run out in the middle of the street. Here we go. The taxi stopped outside of Heaven Publishing. Minokawa left a 1,000 yen bill on the seat and exited the cab. He was stumbling his way toward the building when someone called out to him. Mr. Minokawa! For a moment, Minokawa didn't recognize the man now idling his sedan at the curb, but when he took a closer look, he realized it was Kenji Osawa. He jumped up. Nope. Oh, Mr. Osawa. Sorry, but I haven't been able to look into that thing you asked about yet. I see. That's quite all right. Osawa looked pale and haggard. Minokawa's reporter sense started tingling. This guy is the key to something? He recalled what he'd heard the detective and his buddy talking about back at the scene of the explosion. Roughly 8 hours ago, they infected Maria Osawa with the UA virus. We don't administer Kenji Osawa's antiviral before she develops symptoms. You're caught up in something big, aren't you? How did you know that? Because, the reporter said simply, I am Minu Morikawa. Osawa rolled his eyes. Well, that'll make this simpler. Get in. I'll tell you everything. Minokawa hesitated. This might be his big chance to land a beyond incredible scoop. Yet, it felt like it was too late to matter. Still, landing a major story selling out an issue of 4-star general gossip and putting Heaven Publisher on the road to solvency, all that was the latest he could do in Toyama's memory. You don't drop a story until you have what you need. Maybe it was too late to save Toyama, but Minokawa got in the car. Osawa's tale was beyond anything Minokawa had imagined. So they send you threatening emails, devise a plan to kidnap your daughter in order to get the antiviral, and now that that's failed, they turn into bioterrorism? Finally, Minokawa was able to flesh out the story behind the conversation he'd overheard earlier. And as he did, he could feel a growing sense of exhilaration. So basically, they're now effectively holding all the people in Shibuya hostage and demanding the antiviral. Is that it? Before Osawa could answer, a new idea occurred in Minokawa. Wait, hold on. Why didn't they just start by holding the whole city hostage? Why do they need to go through all of the trouble kidnapping your daughter? I don't know, Osawa said, shaking his head. Perhaps they wanted the ransom money. For a mere 50 million yen? I can't imagine international terrorists bothering for that much. You can't know how terrorists think, Osawa spat. Let's just assume, though. Could there be some other reason they abducted your daughter? Osawa didn't reply. He was probably too preoccupied with finding a way to save his infected daughter to think about anything else. Still, something about the course of events didn't quite add up to Minokawa. But whatever the case, if criminals were after this antiviral, then sticking with Osawa ought to bring him closer to the truth. Minokawa was still mulling that over when they arrived at the laboratory. Oh! The two men hopped out of the car and were immediately rushed by a pair of security guards who subdued them in a matter of moments. Hey, Minokawa protested. What the hell is this? Unhand me, Osawa yelled. I'm Kenji Osawa. This is my lab. But evidently, that didn't matter to the guards. Another man emerged from the building. He and Osawa exchanged a few brief words, judging from the tone of the conversation. This was someone who outranked Osawa at the company. Take him away. As the newcomer looked on, the guards dragged Osawa into the building. Hey, Minokawa shouted at the man as he began to walk away. Don't you know what's going to happen to Shibuya? Don't you care? If you just stand by and let the people of this city die, Okashi Pharmaceutical is going to be held responsible. The man stopped in his tracks. And if that happens, you'll be ruined personally too, Minokawa added. You know I'm right. That will be up for the police to decide. You're going to regret this. Don't be a fool. Minokawa's resolve was unwavering. His pen would mete out justice. He might have come close to forgetting what he had once stood for. But now, the old fire was back. I see. It seems this isn't something to leave unchecked. The man gestured with his jaw. Take him as well. More security guards surrounded Minokawa. Hey, stop it, let me go. But though he struggled fiercely, there was no escape. Once he was dragged through those laboratory doors, Minokawa never wrote another article again. Bad ending. Okay, so something's got to give. Bad ending. Detained at the lab. Minokawa accompanied Osawa to the lab, but there was no getting past security guards. And if even Osawa can't get into his own lab, there's no real reason to go there. It's Osawa who needs to decide on a different course of action here. I don't want to know how people feel. All I want to know is what viruses feel. I prefer viruses because they make no move to encroach on me from the other side of my microscope. They leave me free to let my thoughts wander as I wish. And while it may be true to say I understand viruses, I have never been able to understand my fellow humans. I don't know them. I don't know a single fundamental thing about them. With Tanaka dead, trying to use the backup passwords for the fingerprint scanner had become a hopeless endeavor. The only remaining means of gaining entry into the storage area was to issue an emergency unlock request to the electronic lock manufacturer. In order to do that, they needed approval from 6 members of the board of directors. Returning to his study, Osawa called Makino's personal cell phone. "What is it?" Makino said gruffly as soon as he picked up. Osawa informed him of the situation, including Tanaka's death, and the fact that Maria was infected. The news left Makino at loss for words. "Please," Osawa begged. "You need to hold an emergency board meeting." Makino was silent for a few moments. "Please," Osawa begged. "You need to hold an emergency board meeting." Makino was silent for a few moments. "I'm afraid I can't do that." "Why not?" "Are you just going to sit by and let my daughter die?" Osawa raged. "And not just her. If Maria goes symptomatic. That was still only an if, but Osawa was reluctant to put his fears into words. "If she goes symptomatic, the UA virus will sweep through all of Tokyo." "I realize that," Makino replied. "But one of the board members is overseas on business. Holding a meeting is impossible." Despite the gravity of the situation, he sounded astonishingly nonchalant. Osawa couldn't back down now. There must be some other option, like a web conference or something. "That doesn't help us if we can't get in touch with him," Makino huffed. "He went missing a few days ago, in the middle of his business trip. The head of Okashi Pharmaceuticals' New York branch has been missing since April 25th, 9 p.m. local time. There have been no demands for a ransom, and so the New York Police Department is investigating the possibility of some other form of foul play." Osawa was almost too appalled to be angry. "That's the most ridiculous lie I've ever heard. Would you like to speak to my on-site contact if you don't believe me?" This was like arguing with a child. If Makino was deliberately working against him, he'd never know if this disappearance was real or not. "In that case, can you please appoint a representative in his stead?" Osawa pleaded. "Selecting a representative is a complicated process. Even if we started right now, it would take until someone tomorrow afternoon to complete." "Tomorrow afternoon? By then, it will be too late for any of this to matter." "Sir, can you see how absurd the things you're saying are? What would you have me do?" Makino barked. "I understand, sir. You will do nothing for my daughter. That's what you're saying." "That's not what I'm saying. Look, I'll see what I can do to appoint a representative more quickly." He hung up. His tone had suggested that waiting for an appointee would be a terribly hopeful prospect. "I have no more allies," Osawa thought. "All I have left now are foes." He couldn't count on anyone anymore. Osawa was just going to have to get the Anniversary by himself. Still, he just had to take Makino at his word. Right now, that was the only course of action. Right now, yep. Osawa sat down in front of his computer and quietly closed his eyes. If only I could just go to sleep and wake up tomorrow morning and find all of this resolved. All I'm asking for is a miracle. But he knew reality would never be so kind. He could hold his eyes shut as long as he wanted, and it wouldn't make his hopeless situation go away. He felt the anxiety welling up inside him until it seemed like he was going to die. Going to explode. It seemed like he was going to die. Needing a distraction from his helplessness, Osawa opened up Ayanet. He knew this was a mere escapism, but he couldn't just sit and do nothing while waiting for Makino to call back. He posted a new topic with the title Aya Fortune Teller. I tried the Aya Fortune Teller. My results basically said I was a bad person who can't connect to the people around me. And you know what? That's exactly right. Only thing I'm interested in my own, my own little world. That's probably why my wife and my assistant at work got so fed up with me. It's the same with my two daughters. What sort of things are they interested in? It's the same with my two daughters. What sort of things are they interested in? Do they have a lot of friends? What are their aspirations for the future? I don't know any of those things. It never even occurred to me to find out. I'm such a terrible father. I saw his fingers cease their tapping on the keyboard as he thought back to when Maria and Tommy were younger. Daddy, Daddy. Two girls would follow him around like a pair of puppies. Their father was their everything, that much was clear about looking at their faces. He felt the ticklish giddiness at having his girls cling to him, so he'd never found anything like it in his life. But there were times where he also found it tiresome. I'm sick of being the person I am. I'm sure it's far too late for me to change. Is it though? He poured out all his negative emotions into his post. It felt like a stream of consciousness drivel, but he didn't hesitate to write it down all the same. He wanted other people to know what a miserable excuse for a human he was. At last, when he couldn't think of anything else to add, he posted his bitter confession to the forum. He was staring nimbly at the monitor when he heard a furious shout from the next room. You've got to be kidding me. It was Kajiwara, and Osawa had never heard him so angry. Osawa headed to the living room and found Kajiwara embroiled in a vehement argument with the other detectives. I don't care what HQ policy is, I would not just quietly go along with this. Kajiwara had already screened himself and read into the office. You're out of line, snapped the MPD detective, Kichi Sawatari, with the Metropolitan Police Department's first criminal investigation section. Hold your tongue. I don't care if I'm out of line. You may have talent, I'll give you that, the other detective said, but you're a precinct detective, and this isn't your jurisdiction. It's not your place to question orders from higher up. Wait, Osawa said. Osawa threw out. Kajiwara really is a real a real detective after all? Go on. Explain the situation, Mr. Osawa. Kajura bit his lip in frustration at the other detective's order. Very well. Go on. Explain the situation, Mr. Osawa. Kajura bit it. Oh, I said, blah, blah. Just dozing off. Very well, he said, but before he could say no more, Osawa noticed that the police equipment had all been cleared off the table. Uh-oh. Hold on, Osawa said. What's going on? Has something happened? Allow me to explain, sir, Kajiwara said. His bitterness showed plainly. We've been recalled, sir. Osawa narrowed his eyes, fighting to keep the confusion. The NPD has established a security force headed by blah, blah, blah. What do you mean by that? He was shaking, terrified to have his suspicions confirmed. I'm truly sorry, sir. I haven't been able to help you. Kajiwara gave a deep and solemn blow. But, Maria, what's going to happen to Maria? Another unit has been tasked with bringing your daughter into custody, sir. That much at least Osawa could process. You're going to place her under quarantine, aren't you? Kajiwara's lips stiffened, but he nodded. In order to minimize the spread of the virus. No, Osawa cried. You can't do that. If you do, there won't be any way to save her. His head spun. Please, I beg of you. You need to get Maria to me. Maria. I might be able to save her. Kajiwara didn't respond. He turned to the other detectives. Please, don't. You can't place Maria under quarantine. The detective's only answer was to avert their eyes. Why are you all ignoring me? Please, you have to listen. You bring her to me. We can figure something out. I know I can. He plunked himself down to the floor, yelling and flailing his arms like a child throwing a tantrum. The detectives exchanged sullen looks with one another, then walked off and left him there. He knew he must be a sorry sight, but nevertheless he kept shouting, please don't stand by and let my daughter die. Only Kajiwara remained with him in the living room. I'm sorry, sir. That was beyond my ability to stop. He gave another apologies bow. Saul felt suddenly deflated. No, you've done a fine job, detective. I haven't made such a disgraceful display of myself. I can tell how much Maria must meant to you. Saul shook his head. If I'd really been thinking about Maria, I would have made an effort to work with you detectives more. That was all just self-absorbed shouting. A moment of emotional selfishness. And yet, as a result, you convinced me to stay here with you. Got to turn my mic on. Kajiwara shuddered, but wait. He said after a moment, if you have this wonder drug, then Maria. Osawa shook his head. Without Tanaka, I have no means of getting it out of the lab. Kajiwara frowned deepened. I see, it may not be much to go on, but I think we can put together at least one piece of our little mystery here. Pardon me, one moment. Kajiwara inspected the email address of the sender A, then brought up the nail header. You don't see email address like this much. It's seemingly from a foreign country, but that may be fake. You can tell that just from the email, the detective flashed a little grin. Take a look here. Take that look here. If it's just this, his fingers flew over the keyboard, calling up the header details, slinging out the received form from field. This set of 4 numbers at the bottom is the sender's IP address. Think of it as an ordinary hidden location marker of sorts. As he spoke, the detective pulled up a website called something. He copied and pasted the set of 4 numbers and pressed the enter key. The monitor showed the name of the provider, connection method, and other such details. Osawa couldn't. Access point, Shibuya Ward, Tokyo. Kajiwara went into the email program's options and checked the server info for Osawa's connection. This is the provider that you use, Mr. Osawa? What does that mean? What kind of internet connection do you have here at your house? What sort of well is plugged in over there? Does everyone in your family use that same line? Yes, I think so. Okay, so the same numbers we saw before pop up here. That's a bad sign. Oh, Osawa stared at the monitor. Kajiwara pressed enter, and a black window covered the white Appalachian music. The alphanumeric characters appeared. I said, ouch. Dozing off and reading at the same time. You kind of rattle off. What the heck? Kajiwara muttered under his breath. Wait, what's going on? Osawa asked. Explain simply so that I can understand. Faking an email address is simple enough, but the typical person wouldn't be able to fake an IP. It's very likely that these emails were sent from another computer inside this house. Osawa had to stifle a gasp. Emails had been sent from his own house at around 11 o'clock that morning. Since Osawa hadn't sent them himself, that left only one possible culprit. Suddenly his phone rang, nearly startling him out of his seat. Makino's name showed on the incoming call display. Osawa quickly picked up. Is there an update on the emergency board meeting? He blurted. Makino's voice was quiet and subdued. I tried pulling whatever strings I could, but to no avail. I'm afraid holding a board meeting today just won't be possible. Oh man. The phone fell down from Osawa's hand. His only possible means of saving Maria was now gone. To be continued. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. My name is Raven from the Sky. If you enjoyed the episode, drop a like and subscribe to the channel and the series grow. Take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.